Well, what happens when the people see something of me, but when I look at myself in the mirror, I see someone completely different? First, try to understand whether those people are two different people. Whether the person that you see in the mirror is truly different than the person that your community sees. Or whether you're just being too harsh on yourself and you truly are amazing, or whether you're thinking of yourself too highly and you really should start to reconsider some of the things you've done. And so I kind of came up with a litmus test as to what you can ask yourself to try to understand whether those two people are really two people or if they're one. And the first question that you can ask yourself is, and I want you guys to think about this, if I were to go up to someone in your community whom you work with, when these people are with you, how do they feel when you're around them? And think of that answer. If I were to go up to someone at work or someone that you work with, what would they describe you as? Okay, think about that in your mind. Now, if I were to go and ask your sibling at home, or ask your mother, or ask your father, or ask your brother, what is Shereen like to you? How do you feel when Shereen is around you? How does Shereen make you feel? Do you get a different answer? Is it that the people outside think something of you, and when you treat them a certain way, yet you go home and you treat the people at home differently? And if you find that those two answers are different, then know that there's a problem. But I'm sure many of us can look within ourselves and say, you know what, those two answers are different. The person that I am on the outside is different than the one I am at home. The person that the community sees of me is different than the one that my mother sees of me. You know, and the Prophet ﷺ told us, he said that the best among you are the best to your family, and I am the best to my family. Why does the hadith not say the best of you are the best to your communities? Or the best of you are the ones who give the best speeches? Or the best of you are the best at work? Because it's really easy to be good outside. It's really easy to be nice to the people at work, because if you're not, they're gonna subtweet you on Twitter. And if you're not, they're gonna think you're terrible. And they're gonna have this illusion of who you are, and they're gonna talk bad about you. But if you do something bad to your mom, she's not going to disown you, I hope. You know, if you're disrespecting your sister, she's still going to be your sister. But if you do something bad on the outside, you can potentially ruin a relationship. And so that's why it's easy for us to be good on the outside, but it's hard to be good at home. And that's why the hadith goes that the best of you are the best to your family, because your true character comes out at home. When you've had a long day at work or a long day at school, you face a lot of difficulties, a lot of struggle, you've had a hard day, and you've tucked it in so no one sees it of you, no one sees the flaws, no one sees the weaknesses. But then you go home and you unleash the monster. You unleash the thing that's been building within you the entire day. And who do you unleash it to? The people that you should care about most. The people that deserve the most respect from you. And that's what we do. So I need you guys to think about that. It's scary. What good am I if I do not fill the plates of the ones who fed me, but fill the plates of strangers? What good are you if the one who raised you doesn't see anything from what she's raised you with? What good are you as the one who fed you doesn't see any of the fruits of what she's taught you? The one who spent her blood, sweat, and tears on you for 20, 30 years. And the one who is the reason as to why you are who you are today. The one who helped you get there. Yet as soon as we get our degree, as soon as we can speak, as soon as we're something to the community, we forget about everyone who taught us. We forget about the people who made us who we are. So that's the first question you want to ask yourself. What does your public self look like versus what does your family see of you? And the second question that I want you guys to think of, and again, I'm talking to myself before anyone here, is compare what your salah looks like in the masjid, when there's a bunch of people in the congregation, versus your salah at home when the only person that can see you is Allah. When you're at the masjid, do you tend to read the longer surahs? Do you tend to pray the sunnah and then stay and do the adhkar after? And when you're at home, do you do the same? Or when you're at home, is it Qul Huwallahu Ahad and then you're done, and then you don't even pray sunnah and you don't even do adhkar, and then you move on to the next thing? Right? And I'm sure if we were to think within ourselves, the answer to those two questions, at least for myself, is probably different. That when I'm outside, I'm acting a certain way, yet when I'm inside, I'm not the same. My worship in the eyes of people is not the same as my worship when it's only Allah who's watching me. And the question is, why does it matter who's watching when Allah was watching in both? Why does it matter who else is around you when Allah was always around you? And there's a very scary hadith Qudsi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about. He says, my slave, why did you make me the least of your worries? Why did you not care about the fact that I was watching you? He says, you were embarrassed in front of my creation, but you were not embarrassed in front of me, the Creator. Why don't you remember that I was watching you, and I was always watching you, and I am always watching you? Sometimes it's better for you that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw it. And it could be that that deed that you did in secret that no one saw besides Allah is the reason why you enter Jannah. And everything that you've done in the public, everything that people saw, everything that was out in the open was stuff that you did for the wrong reasons, and you never know, that may not even count for you. Now once you find out you have the problem, what do I do? What's the solution? So a couple things I was thinking about is if you feel like people are holding you up to this standard, you know, you are this and this and this, and you have this title and this title and this title, and you're amazing. Challenge yourself to live up to that standard that people are holding you to. You know, if you go home and you say, man, people think I'm great, but I'm actually not, try to actually be great. And it's not for the people. It's not for people to say, you know, Shereen Salama was great. But it's for me to improve myself so Allah can say Shereen Salama was great. For me to take the standard that you put me at and to try to actually achieve it. Not for you, but for Allah. And the second thing is that for every public deed that you do in the eyes of people, that you double that in your private. If you prayed in the masjid, try to pray at home when no one else can see you besides Allah. Try to wake up when everyone's asleep, in the dark, just you and Allah, create that relationship. And the third, and this is a dua that was taught to us by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He used to receive praise, and there was this beautiful dua that he used to say. And it goes, Allahumma ighfir li ma la ya'lamun, waj'alni khayran mimma yadhunnun. Which translates to, Oh Allah, forgive me for what they do not know about me, and make me better than what they think that I am. Because it's funny, we like to cover up the fact that all of us have a hidden past. All of us have some secret, all of us have some sin, all of us have something that we've done that no one else knows. But remember that when you're being praised, that you once were in that state. Not to put yourself down, but for you to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who brought you there. And finally, and I'll conclude in reminding us that this is a journey. This by no means is something that we are going to accomplish. It's going to be a constant struggle. But at least when we die, we'll be dying on the path and struggle for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.